Class 9 students te vina kan SS class te kan chunjom le thedo na karmasa lama karen le signal chan lo wangin class te kan nei thelowa mar chu vina thatakin kan nei le thedo na alom khop meya vina kan zir tur hi constitutional design chungchang ani a he chapter hi athui do na video hi amar chu inlo enchuak vek turani apoi mo lu tuka I he chapter hi kan constitution India ramdan pui kan duan dan le aduang tu te in harsan an to dan te kan en ho do na kan zir ho do na chu thataka inlo ngai thak kha angai nia o kan chunjom ngalanga Constitution. What is a constitution? Constitution chu enge ani ti kha kan soile phodon ani constitution ti chu kan shringun to nga class ma sa pokhanin kan soi to in kasha mer chu kan soi non lenga the constitution is a set of written rules that are accepted by all the people living together in a country, and constitution is the supreme law that determines the relationship among people living in a territory called citizens, and also relationship between the people and government. Omzia chu constitution chu atoi zong in dan bu kan ti hinita bipuina anzom theitura an pomtlan angkha constitution ti na chu ni me tin constitution hi danal tak ani boka chuanin ram chung cheng emo khwale tui in kung kaina ti chiang tu ani boka chuanin chu dan chuan mipuile sarkar inkar an relationship an in kung kai dan te kha ashil bokani okay chuan next chuanin why do we need a constitution engwangin a constitution hi kan mamo kan ti chuanin it generates a degree of trust and coordination it generates a degree of trust and coordination omzia chu inventon na le in kung kai na kha siama tian tik meng to akoi the eme it's number 2 it specifies how the government will be constituted. Sarkar in real boldante atilanga mo chuanin number 3 it lays down the limits on the power of the government. Sarkar thil ti tur te athil ti thei chin abitukani constitution hianin mo chuanin number 4 it expresses the aspiration of the people mi puite tu zong ti tir thei tu ani bokani constitution hianin achan chu ingwange kan ti chuanin fundamental rights te kan shianga khamit moya khanin mi pui dikna chanbo sang sang te le freedom sang sang te kha omta khang tiang mang khanin mi puina until ti du zong ang te khang te kha dan hnoya thosi khanin ti phal chin te neya chuanin mi puina until ti du zong ang ngoi ang te khang te kha ti thei tu khanin zalen na kha pe bokani constitution hianin mo chuanin India constitution siam dan hi kan endo na chumi ma chuanin Africa ina an siam dan Africa ina eng struggle nge eng harsat na nge alo to ti tele an constitution an siam chwa dan kha kan entel ve don ani he hi Africa continent ani ta helampang hi mo he Africa continent ani ta chuan helampang hi chu he African country ho ani ta he hetan Namibia ti te Botswana ti te kan ne he ero hi chu a continent ani okay chuan South African society kan nang the native people of South Africa were called as black. The native people of South Africa were called as black. South Africa kwale tuite hi black anti thinani tun laya chuanin negro ti te thil sensitive lu tukani to ta negro ti hi negative word thil word thalo anga an ngaya mun then khata chuanin rap ati chuanin in shia nga in lo ngai thave thin me thea an la sei bor mai ro chu thil sensitive ani ti kha sha tur jail tan theina te ni boka necrotia mi kanwa soi wak te kha thil dikani lawani chuanin besides these groups there were people of mixed races who were called as colored kantileta chung ho chu hemite khami black ho ba ka khanin thapol kan ti angchi ho kha color tan ti bokani chuanin number 3 and the people migrated from India are Indian migrants antileta chuanin India atongaron pem ti hi Indian migrants anti bokani chuanin the white rulers treated all non-whites as inferior sab ho mingo ho khanin khang tiang mingo ni velo ho zong Indian migrants kan ti te colored kan ti te black ho zong te kha nam noi nung an tian musit the em ani okay chuan policy of apartheid system hi kan je don ani tuna hianin apartheid system chu an official policy of racial separation discrimination and treatment of blacks on the basis of skin color was called apartheid hei kan sha tur chu nita apartheid kan ti chu si emo nam in clear na ania chuanin midum emo mi hangte an treat dan an thil ti dan angkha chu apartheid system kan ti chu nita ni khami an treat dan kha chu inge in musit na te in endong na te khang te angkha nita chu apartheid an ti chu nita chuanin the apartheid system was particularly oppressive for the blacks. They were forbidden from living in white areas. chuanin mi hang te kha an ra be na ania he apartheid system hi chuanin mingo te ne na chen ho kha phal ani bok lo ani white areas kan ti hi chu mingo ho chen na mun ang kha ni mai ta chuan khang tiang ang ho zinga khanin het black so mi hang ho kha va chen khan phal be lo thina ni chuanin practice of policy of apartheid he inting an practice apartheid to inting an practice kan ti chuanin the black could work in white areas only if they had a permit and trains, buses, taxis, hotels, hospitals, schools and colleges, libraries, cinema halls, etc. Were all separate for the whites and blacks. This was called segregation. So they could not even visit the churches where the whites worshipped. Hemi omja chu mi hang ho kha mingo te omna muna na tho te kha an phal lawa khami na an tho theng na kha chuanin permit mo phal na kha an ne ngai ni chuanin rail te bus te hotel dam do in college khang tiang zong te kha mingo le mi hang tan ashangin om veka an thliar sang veka chu segregation anti achuni tani chuanin they could not even visit the churches where the whites worshipped chu byak ina po khanin mingo ho in khomna khanin black so te khami mingo ni lo ho khachun kalve thelo ani okay chuanin hey segregation of non-whites hey manan banner tar chin angte hami an in hung na anga te mingo ho in an tar chin ni ta chu hey danger natives Indians and coloreds. If you enter these premises at night, you will be listed as missing. Armed guards shoot on sight. Savage dogs devour the corpse. You have been warned. Tikanin helai muna hian inon kalani chuanin nangni Indians mo mi hang ho mo etot kalani chuanin mibo anga ngai inni tikhanin an tar top china achan chu achen chuan an lo thatania nga achen te chu an kamian ruang te kha uiten lo 80 ranga khang tiang vel ang khanin in musit na te in clear na kha anda sa the ani panin khatiang in clear na kha fight to pol low attack to kha mo low fight back ho kha an omtani fight against apartheid system khami du low pol ho kha so since 1950s the blacks colored and Indians fought against the apartheid system kum sang kha chakwa samnga china tang khanin khami apartheid system kha unlow fight back unlow do low mo unlow swal veni chuanin African National Congress kanti ANC was the umbrella organization that led the struggle against the policies of segregation. ANC hi aswal tu khami he apartheid system do lawa swal na saber pol kha ania chuan several countries also denounced apartheid as unjust and racist. More several countries khanin unjust and racist and tibokani tu churam sang po khanin he apartheid system he in musit na kha andu lo hle athil thalo ani till dan lo lu to kani tikhan ti china ni chuanin but the white government continued to rule by detaining, torturing and killing thousands of blacks and colored people. chuanin mar chumi ngo ho khanin mi hang kan ti ang te blacks kan ti ang te kan ti du da in an that na sa zui em ati khan an ma ni apartheid system kha an laken ko ani mi ngo ho khanin mo chuanin suppression of freedom movement khami apartheid system swal to ho kha run suppress kha antitani khami white ho khani mingo ho khani run ti mi antum ta khami run swal chwak tu mo apartheid system du lawa run swal tu angte kha ti mit khan tum ta ni chuanin leader of ANC Nelson Mandela he poimo lutuk o Nelson Mandela he being tried for treason by white South African government he ANC leader Nelson Mandela kha mingo ho khanin an mantani achanchu an manna chanchu treason hi ni treason omzia chu khami rorel tu emoshwai to dinglai te kha paithak tum anga te khanin an puatin mirin omlo le ramtana mitnok angte bumtu anga te khanin an chhuata an puta chuan Nelson Mandela khan mantani chuan he and 7 other leaders were sentenced to life imprisonment in 1964 for daring to oppose the apartheid regime in his country chuanin ka apartheid system kha Nelson Mandela le achiante timil a hote ang khanin andona sem emakhami andawa wang khanin khami white ho khanin kumsang khat zakwa somruk bali khanin damchunga tang tur khanin an mantani chuanin he spent the next 28 years in South Africa's most dreaded prison, Robben Island. Robben Island ti hilaw chinsia tur bok o. Robben Island na khanin Nelson Mandela kha kumsom ni pariat chung kha South Africa jail shom berpol Robben Island anti khanin kumsom ni pariat chung kha Nelson Mandela kha atang tani okay tan he pa Nelson Mandela chuni South African hautan chuani na poimo ema larpo larani ama story ama life story mo abayo he movie ang teponi nan siama ala ani running towards freedom khanin an han swal zel tan Nelson Mandela le ahote khanin jela khanin atanga mairo chu three shrai tam tak te po khan la omta chuanin khang ho wang khanin freedom kha an mu thei ton tani tahianin mo chuanin as protests and struggles against apartheid has increased, the government realized that they could no longer keep the blacks under their rule through repression, and the white regime changed its policies. Discriminatory laws were repealed, and ban on political parties and restriction on the media were lifted. Mi puilung olo na le inno naka anasat emawangin sarkarin mishing ho ka sorry mi hang ho khamo an noya khan anda ring thei to lo ti kha an chetani kha mi ngo ho khanin mo chuanin mi ngo lo ho khanin an ti dan an thak ka chuanin mi hang ti tu da na kha an hlip tani chu freedom khan ni tan tani chuanin ahma political party ni te khan khapta mi ngo shwai tu ho khanin mo amar chu khang an khapna ti kha an hlipa chuanin media an khapna ti kha top bokani media an khap hi ama chuanin media te kha mingo sarkar na hnwai mingo shwai tu de hnwai veka khanin omta an mani ina thu chwa turan ti ba kha chu media hoin an chwa theilo ani mo amar chu khatiang te khan hlip nuwa kha chuanin media ho chanchin bu te news kami radio te poniam chu khangtiang mass media ho zong song khanin an du dan ang khanin thu te khan chwa ve thei ta ni chu chuanin release of Nelson Mandela khalo chuak ta ni chu. After 28 years of imprisonment, Nelson Mandela walked out of the jail as a free man. Kumsum ni pariat nuwa khanin Nelson Mandela kha jail Trankhanar and Swaktani. Chuanin finally at the midnight of 26 April 1994, national flag of the Republic of South Africa was unfurled, making the newly born democracy in the world. The apartheid government came to an end, paving way for the formation of multi-racial government. Chuanin kum sangkat zakwa somkwa pali April ni somni paruk zanlai midnight mo zanlai khanin South Africa national flag mipui lalnaram ni turin zar phar alo ni tani South Africa Republic of South Africa mipui thal shwai tu ram mo shwai tu ne naram South Africa kha alo ding chhuak tani chu chon apartheid government kha alo top ta a chi emonam sang sarkar party lo din pha tani ama chuanin khami government sarkar na kha mingo ho khanin an chel top ta shwai tu khami ngo ho ani tama se tuna chuanin khami sarkar na siam tu tur pro kha anin mix ta dinani chu a chen mi hang chen mingo a chen migrants colored kan ti ang chi te khang tiang khanin an lo om tani chuanin towards a new constitution thar kha siam khan ngai khan titani constitution hi poimo em kan ti kha dan bu ani a ram ni na shil tu turani wang khan constitution thar kha independence ani atang khanin an siam khalo ngai tani. After the emergence of the new democratic South Africa, black leaders appealed to fellow blacks to forgive the whites for the atrocities they had committed while in power. Black kanti mihang ho kan feleni. Chuanin they said, let us build a new South Africa based on equality of all races, men and women, on democratic values, social justice and human rights, and drawn up a constitution. Chuan South Africa democracy ani nu ta ka khachuanin blacks ho shwai tu te khan an mi hang pui te mo black dang ho te na khanin mingo ho le until ti chin dan te kha ngaidam turin antini to forgive the whites for the atrocities they had committed while they were in power ati hi mingo ho kha ngaidam tur khanin antini. Chuanin they said, let us build a new South Africa based on equality of all races, men and women, on domestic values, social justice and human rights, and drawn up a constitution. Hemi omzia chu ani chuanin South Africa thar mo mi hang ho khanin South Africa thar isiamang u in pluklan na mi pui le mi mal dik na chan vo choi nun na isiamang u constitution thar in chumi constitution thar chuanin chumi ho zong song chu adalal turani chumi wang chuanin South Africa thar hi isiamang u ma thil lo thleng to te kha chu in ngai damang u antitani chuanin designing of constitution thar chu an design tani tikhanin deliberation discussion te ngamani kha an nei na sem ema chuan thil te khan choi ho na sani constitution and siam don khanin chuanin and the principle of majority rule and that one person and one vote kan ti hi India ina universal adult franchise kan ti one person one vote any person above the age of 18 years could elect their representatives ang deuh khanin and one person one vote ka mang turin antita. Chuanin they also agreed to accept some basic rights for the poor and the workers military kun thok dana andik na chanbo kha anda sang bokani constitution tharan design khanin mo. Chuanin the blacks agreed that majority rule would not be absolute, and they also agreed that majority would not take away the property of the white minority. Chan black so kha chu an tam jok nei ta mingo ho ai kha chan amai chu khami black so ringotina an rule ram an chwai kha chuanin thil dikha ani theidon nen chebik lo ta chuanin an thutluk na an in rem tlan na chuanin majority ho khanin white minority kan ti ho an property an thil ne ang te kha lak sak lo vin ti khan in lungwa taka om the kha an du ta ni mo an constitution design po khanin chuanin drafting of the constitution to anlo siam don ta tikhan and draft tani. Chuanin how was this compromise going to be implemented even if they managed to trust each other? What was the guarantee to this trust will not be broken in future? And the only way to build and maintain trust in such a situation was to write down some rules of the game in the form of constitution that everyone would abide by. Antini omja chu constitution chu an han draft tani chuan an puitlin theyangem ti te black la mingo te inkara khanin boina thengem ti thlin te khan an ngai to ani khanin questions zona kha an mani khanina ombeni chuanin chu a solve dan chung question zong chana le a solve dan thaber chu constitution puitling le dan khir le lal tak kan siam the kha ani antitani chuwang chuan constitution katikhanin an siam chhota an draft chhota ni mo chuanin tikhanin hi South Africa constitution tihianin an siam tani chuanin tuna chuan India ram chungtang kha kan sele don ta India po in constitution kan siam don hianin thil sang buai na te kha nei ve na sani chanchu India chu mapon geography ate po khanin kan zir to kha ramza to kani a state sang a oma tam deu chuan a chunga cheng te khanin religion sang kan ne ya tong sang kan ne ya kan vun rong o in ang lo helaya North India te chun ngo line helai South India te chun lo hang ya kan lifestyle te po in ang lawa ti khanin kan ti dan kal mang te in ang law no I mean chu constitution and siam don pokhan kan constitution siam tu te ina an boina le harsa an ti na em chan khani tani chuanin partition on the basis of religious difference bangte pokhan in constitution kha siam har kha an ti ni chuanin at least 10 lakh people were killed in both sides of the border in partition related violence India hi ma chuan in Pakistan tin in hianin ram khat vek kan ni china amai ro chu British ho ina min opatang khan divide and rule policy te khang tiang zong wang khanin kan inkara khanin abik takin Hindu le Muslim inkara khanin boina kha le in khona kha atam mawangin 1947 khanin India ina independence aponu khanin an ram kha in chendan India le Pakistan khanin chuan khami partition wang khanin mitam takhan noi chuang khan thi bokani he hi rap thak em ne kina kan lezir chawanga tiang te po he chuanin milawa chuanin thil dang har sa na sang de khan la nei bokta princely states and their rights mo chuanin ama sabera chuan he princely states and their rights anita chuanin the merger of these princely states was difficult and uncertain task princely states kan ti chu state khanin lal khan la nei thina ni chuanin state in thune na ane state dina thune na la nei khan oma chuan chung princely state zom khom te khathil har sa ani bokani chuanin the future of the country did not look as secure as it does today and the makers of the constitution had anxieties about the present and the future of the country khalai huna India constitution siam tu te khanin when India din hun het ang hi anla mu phak lawani anla mu thiam lawani mo chuanin constitution siam tu te khanin tun mai ni lo future an ngai to khanin lo thod tam tak te khan ne achan chu soi to angin India chu nam sang khom te kha kan ni wang khanin lo thon na te chu mi chu athleng me ang chu tiang chu atik theyang em ti ang zong te khan ngai to chu wang chuan lo thon na te kha an ne a chuanin khang ho wang khan kan constitution kha siam make harsa khan ti ni mo the part of the constitution some advantages to our constitution framers har satna kan soita amaro chu constitution siam na konga all thil ti all sam to chen khat kan soile don ta ni pakhatna chon consensus about democracy kan constitution siam to te khanin democracy hi an du vekani mo democracy mi pui lalna kha government of the people for the people by the people kha an du a kami wang khan constitution siam kha ati ol samani achanin democracy du lo pol te khalo om ta se chanin boile no e dona amai chu constitution siam to te khan in democracy kha andu ve ka wang khanin constitution siam kha ati ol sam emani chuanin number 2 our national movement was not merely a struggle against a foreign rule it was also a struggle to rejuvenate our country and to transform our society and politics omzacho kan national movement kami freedom struggle zalen na tura zalen na kan swala khanin kami zalen na swal to de khanin India kha foreign rule British amo kami ramdang nuai atanga zalen na mu ringot kha atumani lova atum chu India rampum pui kha eng sphere po economy ni mo society ani mo education ani mo political life ani mo khang zong develop vek antuma wang khanin anwai khanin kami constitution siam na khanin target hemi hi an target pakhat ani veka wang khanin constitution siam tekha hengtihan ati ol sambokani right wanin factors contributed in making of constitution hi chu constitution siam na mashwai tu le thil poi mo tak ania number 1 na chuanin Motilal Nehru constitution ani tani he Motilal Nehru constitution he drafted by Motilal Nehru and 8 others in 1928 kum sang khat jakwa som ni pariat khanin Motilal Nehru constitution hi anlo draft ani Motilal Nehru le athui shrai pariat te khanin mo chuanin heng ho hian heng mang te hianin constitution thar ka inspire ani mo chuanin number 2 chuan Karachi Congress session omleta Indian National Congress sessions held in 1931 at Karachi had dwelt on how independent India's constitution should look like kumsang khachakwa somthum pakhat khanin Karachi a khanin Indian National Congress tuna Congress kan ti hianin session an neita thut khom an neita ni Karachi a khanin chuanin khami an thut khom na khanin tuna independent India ram zalen na kan nei nuwa a om dan tur ang vel te kha anlo duang loka anlo chen lok ve dewani chu mo chumi independent kan ni nuwa chuanin India chu ti chuan ni na omanga ti angjong te khan an lo ngai twani khang ho atang te khanin constitution kha khang hawa until soi tang te khanin constitution thar kha an siama chuanin inspiration te kha an hu phani okay chuanin other factors heng hi po hi constitution siamna turatana ahma shwai thawani tani chu Government of India Act 1935 ani leta chu Government of India Act 1935 khanin constitution thar siam nan khanin engem thil tangkai tam takha anut sia bokani mo joining provincial legislatures were not fully democratic governments, but the experience gained by Indians in working of the legislative institutions proved to be very useful for the country in setting up its institutions. Government of India Act 1935 hi ahma dan kan ni India ina constitution puitling tak kan ni ma dan anita heng dan mang khanin heng ho shul hianin constitution te kha siamani boka tin India kha independent ani ma khanin legislative institution tuna Rajya Sabha le Lok Sabha kan ti dehi anlo mel shat to khami khanin ram in rel bol na te kan ti dan tur ang te kha thui takin apui bokani ekhoi tangin nge Rajya Sabha le Lok Sabha hemi kan parliament hi khoi inspiration of mukanti chuanin British ho khanin mo Britain ho khanin tuna hianin House of Lords le House of Commons an neita chu up tuna keini ina kan upper house le lower house kan ne ang chi ang tho hinita an parliament kha chuanin khami atang khanin British ho khanin min obring ta tro chuanin khata tang khanin India khanin British ho ina anram in rel bol na te mu atang khan Indians ho khanin khata tang khan inspiration anita chuanin tuna Rajya Sabha te Lok Sabha te Legislative Assembly kan ti angte hengte hi anlo India in kan lo nei ve phata ni mo chuan khang tiang anga nge thil ram danga tanga thil in real bolna an shata tang te khanin khang tiang atang te khanin constitution te chu an siam chhota te khanin constitution siam nan po khanin thil tangkai tak ania thil kha ati ol sambokani chuanin adotletan inspiration by other countries in constitutions ram dang po hianin India ram constitution kan siam don hianin mi kan constitution siam to tika inspire nas ani entinan he inspiration by ideas of French Revolution France atang inspiration of mupot tumizo the practice of parliamentary democracy in Britain netina kasoy ang khanin parliament House of Lords le House of Commons kha Britain British hawatang khanin mule chuanin Bill of Rights fundamental rights kha US atangin chuanin socialist revolution in Russia atang te mo khangtiang economic equality socialism kanti angchi tekha Russia atang tekhanin inspiration ahmutani heng horam sang atang hen kan constitution siamnan khanin heng horam ti dan kha alakho mani chu amar chu heng horam atang nilo entinan Canada atang te Germany atang te pohianin inge ala thota India in helaya aron zia ba ka hianin mo chuanin amar chu India khanin hetiang ang ram ti dan kha alamol top lowani chumiram po chuanin tia kan in acha kati India po hen kan ti vetorani tikhanin anla pop lo tikhan endinanin Bill of Rights kan ti US atang hen kan la vedon mi tikhanin an ti ta chuanin an soi hawa kan rama hianin applicable vengem kan ti ve thengem ti thling khanin an ngai to ta ni ram din hunan ena mi pui din hun en chu zel khanin mi ram constitution kha an lakho mani India ram constitution siam to tikhanin mo chuan formation of the Constituent Assembly hi poimo he constitution kan ne na tura tan assembly kan ti son truth khom ani meta truth khom poimo lu tu kan itani chuanin heta hianin kan constitution siam tu te kha an thu kom chin tani chuanin the drafting of document called Constitution was done by an assembly of elected representatives called the Constituent Assembly. He kan Constitution draft na tur at zia chin na tur te asoi na tur te khang tiang kha Constituent Assembly anti chuni tani. Chuanin a member how kha than khom an ni tani. Chuanin July 1946 a khanin he election kami Constituent Assembly turatana election kha an neta chuanin an meeting masaber Constituent Assembly meeting masaber kha 1946 December ani election kha in than he Constituent Assembly turatana representative a member turate kha July 1946 an changa chon meeting masaber kha December 1946 ani chuanin khami nurei lote ya khanin khami India le Pakistan kanin chenta ma ka sayang kanin so Constituent Assembly po ka in chen be ngalani helai hanin ron india ka he assembly was also divided into Constituent Assembly of India and that of Pakistan, and the Constituent Assembly that wrote the Indian Constitution had 299 members. Kami Constituent Assembly India Constitution siam tu te kha kami assembly a khanin member kha zani som kwa pakwa an oman his thuman jing law chani chuanin the assembly adopted the constitution on 26 November 1949 chuan kami assembly khanin constitution thar chu November ni som ni paruk 1949 khanin an pom tani amar chu an pom khanin constitution kha kan manghal melo it came into effect on 26 January 1950. January ni som ni paruk 1950 kan constitution chu kan mangtan tani chuanin chumi den chen chuanin kan constitution kan mangtan ni January ni som ni paruk 1950 kha Republic Day anga kan manchin hi anitani engwang nge Republic Day kan manchin te kan ti tuna tang chuanin sha to kan constitution kan mangtan ni ani ni kum sorry class 8 apo khanin in exam na khanin karon zo tem ka sha to Republic Day te Independence Day te so anin Republic Day kan man chan chu kan constitution kan man chan ni ani ti ka sha reng tur so anin acceptance of the constitution even after 50 years he kan constitution da iredan te ta hianin naron highlight ta engwangin kan constitution hi mana siam to ni sikha tun thlangin al applicability te kha ta hianin naron soya the constitution does not reflect only the views of its members alone, it expresses the broad consensus of its time. So over the last half a century, several groups have questioned some provisions of the Constitution, but no large group or political party has ever questioned the legitimacy of the Constitution itself. Kan Constitution hianin asiam tu temit atang ringo tinram kha athlir lawani mi zong po abzau thei turang pera siamani chuwang chuanin a dai re ni chuanin chen katin zona le soisena de te kan constitution hi an nei china amar chu but in party lian emo khang tia ang groups kan ti ang khanin kan constitution chungchang hi an la soisel ngailem lowa soisel ngailem lo kan ti khanin entinan kan constitution hi kan constitution kalzong ani em ti ang zong te khachwanin an ron soichin amai ro chu khatianga kan constitution ron attack thak top tumte antinan Germany anga te chuanin Hitler a lo chua don khan an constitution kha amadu dan min letkwala an constitution kha pai cha in ama kha dan ang to pa khanin in siam da dan nei tu pa anga te khane in siam ta khang ti ang te kha chu kan constitution hian ala tong ve lo shim ani okay chuanin Constitutional Assembly represented the people of India kami kan constitution da dan kami continuation zom na zel khala ni ta hi number 2 chuanin constitutional assembly represented the people of India and it was elected mainly by the members of the existing provincial legislature kan constitution hianin state sang mi pui I o zo thei tur ang berin khalai huna state sang roi tu te khanin an thangani o chu constitutional assembly member to an than na po khanin anita chuanin state sang om ja chu India rama state sang khanin represent an neya chuanin representative ane kami constituent assembly khanin chuan khang representative ho khanin an constitution chu an siam tani okay chuan this ensured a fair geographical share of members from all regions of the country chuan ta hen he sei to angin kami awang khanin representative sang mun sang India ram pum poi tang kan ni awang khanin India ram huap zo India majority huap zo thei turang per siamani a adai re em ani kan constitution yanin chuanin acceptance of constitution Chuanin the assembly was dominated by Indian National Congress, the party that led Indians' freedom struggle. Chuanin kan constitution hlud le na le adai reina chan pakhat bok chu Indian National Congress khanin lalna chu kan ti thei che along amar chu majority kha atampol khani Indian National Congress tuna Congress kan ti ang himo kha mi member ho kha atam zo kha anita ni amar chu khami party khanin lalna le thuni na ang te kha khami constitution siam na khanin an chu mi alo ta ni chu fair takin engkim kha akal puya Indian National Congress ho kha chu member po antama tin an poimo bakani achan chu kami freedom struggle zelen na kan swalaya asul su tu te amashwai tu te kha ani wangin he congress ho himo amar chu ka soi angin an intilal lova ti khanin midang zai ngai de khanin an oma chuan he the congress included variety of political groups and opinions mo omja chu congress ho khanin bi sang party le ngai dan sang kha atela angai poimo a chuanin ada poimo fekani chuanin the assembly represented members from different language groups classes religions and occupations chuanin he kan constitution siam na khanin congress tumot khanin lalna an changlo ta amairo chu trong sang mangte sakho sang zui tu te ezon na sang chel tu te le thil dang io kha he kan constitution siam na khanin an telani okay chuanin voini thlang hianin an le accept han chu why accepted even today ti him finally the manner in which the constituent assembly work kan constituent assembly kha alo fu em awangin voini thlang accept alani ni The Constitutional Assembly worked in systematic, open and constitutional manner. Chuan Constitutional Assembly ka thil kha ngun em khani na ngai to beka in hongzao MMC in mo chuanin thil ani na tur ang thap khan kan Constituent Assembly kan Constitutional Assembly khanin ma kha alha ani chuwang chuan kan constitution hi adai rea bo ini thlenga accept alani ni chuanin the basic principles were decided and agreed upon kasoi angin thil topic pakhat kha ansayanga chuanin undecide nga tikhan an relanga discussion te anenga hi chumi topic chuni se anti-nan religion lampang chulo soidon ta se religion lampang khan soita chumi chu athang hi chu athalawang tikhanin discussion thil soi hon te kha an nei ta chuanin khami kha an pom plan the hun na chau khanin final khanin and finalized the chain ani chuanin then drafting committee chaired by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar prepared a draft constitution for discussion chuanin kan drafting committee chairman hi Dr. B.R. Ambedkar ani a kan chat the dan tu chu Dr. B.R. Ambedkar hi sorry kan chat tura poimo chu nam noi nung kan ti zinga mi ani a Ambedkar hi mo chuanin amairo chu chairman mana India ram man lai tila British ho hun lai angte po khanin ani ang chu nam noi nung kha medieval British hun lai man de pon yang chu nam noi nu at big takin casteism kan ti ang chi te khan awang khanin nam noi nung kha musitan ni chin em amar chu kan constituent assembly kha akal lan khat afu ka ti kha thadeu in systematic ru tukin akal ta chu wang chuanin nam noi nung kan ti Dr. B.R. Ambedkar te hi drafting committee chairman te kha aloni ta ani okay chuanin ama hian in draft constitution draft tura discussion tur khanin draft na te khanin ama khan a prepare tani okay chuanin deliberation and discussion he and discuss dante nia kan constitution hi an siam chung po are ni the members deliberated for 114 days and over 3 years kan constitution kha an siam re thil kha an chei hawan khel re ema kumthum le ni za som pali adayani so every document presented and every word spoken in the Constitution Assembly has been recorded and preserved. Omza helai hitu until soi zong te mo until soi zong an soi ho zong te kha an record that so an da thaboka chuan in chu Constitution Assembly an til soi zong ani chu an record vek an da traffic boka chuanin chung ho chu Constitution Assembly debate antini okay helai Constitution Assembly debate antita chuanin when printed these debates are in 12 bulky volumes and han print sia mai chu khang tiang an discussion le until soi ho zong kha lekha bu cha pui volume song patni akhani na chuakani chuan these are used to interpret the meaning of the Constitution heng ho khami until soi ho zong te kha nuwa ze po khanin man tang kaina ala omna sem ema Constitution interpret nan soi zaw nan te khanin an la mang chun zom de zelani okay chuan the dream and promises of great leaders Many Indian great leaders and freedom fighters often expressed their opinions and ideas were also included. Example, Mahatma Gandhi was not a member of the Constitutional Assembly, yet there were many members who followed his vision. Om Ziatsu India Ram Shwai tu tekhanin zelena swal tu te an thukho chang tekha an ngai poi mo ema an ngai dan tekha kan constitution ate po khanin an telani example a entina he Gandhi kha Constitution Assembly khami kan constitution siam tu a khanin atel me lo amaro chu athil tumle a vision mo a dream angte khang tiang zong kha Constituent Assembly member sang khanin an zoma an pomani okay chuanin tuna thalakan inang hi glimpse of constitution makers anita kan constitution siam tu te an siam lai te thalakanita an him tha angani chu Rajendra Prasad speaks at August midnight session of the Constituent Assembly Ogasa Rajendra Prasad ina thuwa sailayan Rajendra Prasad kha kan la shaim Rajendra Prasad he helai mi hi he thu sailayan ita first president of India khani okay chuanin he a session at Constituent Assembly in progress with Ambedkar Sarat Chandra Bose he Ambedkar ate Sarat Chandra Bose te Sardar Patel BG Kher KM Munshi le Frank Anthony te nita he Constituent Assembly khani constitution siam live kani angai to ngun mel khop mai roki chuanin he tu Sardar Patel addresses the Constituent Assembly for the last time on January 24th, 1950. Sardar Patel ina athu sai nung der January ni som ni pali 1950 khani okay he tu chuan adotlia chuanin Nehru and other members at August midnight session August midnight session khanita Jawaharlal Nehru te hela hi Jawaharlal Nehru oma Jawaharlal Nehru kha tunge kan ti chuan first prime minister of India okay ani po kha midnight session a khani na telani chuan heng ho hi Constitution Drafting Committee member ten nita Rajendra Prasad te BG Kher te NV Gadgil te VL Mehta ten ni mi poi mo tak kan ni kan Constitution siam na chuanin he hi chu Sardar Patel le Sardar Baldev Singh ten Constitution kha an sign tani Constitution more kha an bok tan ton he dekha bu hi chale ni he tro chuan he chu Rajendra Prasad thau khania Constituent Assembly a thu sai lai ani chuan tikhan constitution siam dante an journey mo constitution siam dan zin kong te kan enta atuna chuanin preamble hi kan in le don ani preamble hi kan assignment at te class 8 at te khanin kan in pe a omzia kan sha mo preamble hianin aron soifia tumachu kan constitution introduction page angani chu kan constitution chunga khanin enge omti kharon highlight tani ta hianin we the people of India ti kan muwa kan cha swa kange we the people of India having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign socialist secular democratic republic and to secure to all its citizens justice, social, economic and political, liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith and worship, equality of status and of opportunity, and to promote among them all fraternity, assuring the dignity of the individual and the unity and integrity of the nation. In our Constituent Assembly, this 26th day of November 1949, do hereby adopt, enact, and give to ourselves this Constitution. Hehi kan soitongin kan Constitution na kan introductory page. Amasway tu ang anitani. So anin heng we the people of India kan tite. Helaya, we the people of India kantite, helaya, sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic kanti ang zongsong dahi karon soifi avek dona justice, liberty, equality ti ang te karon soifi dona ni. So an heng ho preamble hianin kan constitution riruang ka aron soifi ani, okay? So an tuna masabira we the people of India le sovereign socialist secular hikan inang we the people of India sovereign social secular hikan indona ni omzia chu philosophy so ito angin khang ho kha kan constitution in nga chan alungpui angan ni tani heng ho hi we the people of India ti lai na asoi tu machu. The Constitution has been drawn up, enacted by the people through their representatives and not handed down to them by a king or any outside power. Asay tumatsu we the people hianin. Mipui game ani le kan ai o ten he Constitution hi kan siam ma tu ma min pe kanilaw tulal ma in min pe kanilaw. It is not handed down to them by a king or any outside powers. And tinan lal ne ram te sulaw ni ta ila lal khanda na siya mga adan siya maka mipui nan zom me turani amairo chu tiang chu kan ni velo ke ni ram chuanin kan try to tur kan thlanga kan thlan try to te khanin kan ram kal dan tur kha an siama ni chuwang chuanin keima ni mipui min represent tu te khanin kan constitution kan ram dan hi kan siama ni keima ni mipui nge hya kan telve ani ati aron soitum na khani chuan sovereign in aron soitum le chu people have supreme right to make decisions on internal as well as external matters. So no external power can dictate the government of India. Sovereign in aron soitum chu ponlam thune ne in ram chuk in rel bon na aron khoi thiang lo aron khoi theilo mipuin thune na le thu top siam the na ane ni ti kharon soitumani chone dodla chone socialist a chone wealth is generated socially and should be shared equally by the society. Government should regulate the ownership of land and industry to reduce socio-economic inequalities. Socialist in aron soitum chu hosak na kanti wealth kanti ang chi mo kanni tin mo ang te khang ti ang te kha in tuklang takin society in a indrom turani a sarkar in tuklan na tam tak in tuklan lo na inequalities kanti ang chi khang tiang tam tak kha a reduce ati top ati claim turani ti in aron soi bokani chuanin secular class 7 ate pokan jena sa citizens have complete freedom to follow any religion, but there is no official religion and government treats all religious beliefs and practices with equal respect. Secular kanti chu khwale tui ten andu to sa khwa kha an zom thea sarkar emoramin sa khwa zong in tutlak takin aza turani ti kharon soi aron soi tumani tani ta hi chuanin ramdanga chuanin entinan kulai Iraq velanga te chuanin Muslim mo tikhanin anlal ema tin Muslim khanin power kha anne tila sai kan sai swalawang mar chu India chuanin chumi religion chu kanram sakhwa turani ti te kha phallawani sakho zongzong khan lenga tin sarkar le ram khanin sakhwa zongzong kha aza turani ti te khani bokani secular chuanin mo chuan dot lia chuanin republic equality justice le liberty kan in le don ta ni justice equality liberty kan in le don ta chuanin republic ina aron soi tum chu the head of the state is an elected person and not a hereditary position. Republic kan ti chu shwai tu kan nei reng hi mi pui than ania in thla chon thilani lo ti kharon soi tu mani it is not a hereditary position in thla chon thilani lo ti aron soi om ja chu lal lo nei ta ila ti le chinila lal lo nei ta ila lal le tu rakha chu a tha mo a fa pa emo khatikanin lal na khanin thla chonga chuan rampo khami te thla khanin an try don ani amai ro chu republic a chuan in try to kan nei reng reng kha mi pui thlan ani a in thla chon thilani lo ti kharon soi tu mani okay chuanin adodlia chuanin equality in tluklan na lampang kha aron da poi mole tani kan constitution khanin all are equal before the law. The traditional social inequalities have to be ended. The government should ensure equal opportunity for all. In tluklan na kha kan constitution hian in ngai poi mo ni tu po dan ma chuanin in tluklang vek kan nia man lai a in endong na te khat chu ti bo turania tu po in kong po mo eng na po eng zir na po a thlang the ni ti ka he equality hian in ron so ani helaya mingawani wang tlema ngo de wang te status san de wang te helaya muslim ani wang te helaya hindu ni wang te in musit na te in du sak na te khang tiang kha om turani lo tu po dan ma chuan kan in ang vek turani a tin enga po opportunities chance kan ne ni chuanin in proklam takin thil engkim kha kan be access the ni ti kha equality in aron soi tum chuani chuanin justice a chuanin citizens cannot be discriminated on grounds of caste gender and religion. Social inequalities have to be reduced and government should work for the welfare of all, especially of the disadvantaged groups. Justice in aron soi tum le chu khwale tu mi pui te chu anni na sa khwa anni wanga ni emo tin mi pa anni wanga ni emo meichia anni emo khang wang khani in musi na te ka om turani lo chuanin social inequality society in tluklan lo na inequalities kan ti te kha kan titop turani mo chuanin government should work for the welfare of all, especially of the disadvantaged groups. Sarkar emo ram khanin tleman nam noi nung de lek le chom do ngai bi kha uplift a promote a choice sang turani nge a support tha a tan pui turani ti te khani justice a chuanin aron soi tum chu okay chuanin liberty kan ti hi freedom ti na ne na in ang de ringa liberty is just like another word for freedom, alright? And there are no unreasonable restrictions on the citizens in what they think, how they wish to express their thoughts, and the way they wish to follow up their thoughts and actions. Liberty kan ti chu sai to angin zalen na ne in tluklanga zalen na liberty kan constitution hian in ngai poimu a chuanin mi puite ngai to anate an ngai dan pho chua dan le an thil ti dan kha ra be the ngot ani lo zia te kha he liberty hian in ron tar lang bok ani okay chuanin adot le chuan can constitution be amended with the changing time he kan constitution hi ti danglam the ni amended ti chu ti danglam ti te thak danglam ti te ti na ni ta chuanin kan constitution chu ti danglam the ni ti te ni ta ni chuanin those who drafted the Indian constitution felt that it has to be in accordance with people's aspiration and changes in the society kan constitution siam tu te kha thil ma thlir thui ta khan nei ta ni kan chat in society ya chuanin thila in thak renga man thil poi mo de khatuna de chuan poi mo to lawa mo fashion te po man la ya helai an war de khat voina de po an war to lo ta tiang chia khanin society ani emo economics thila ani emo politics ani emo khang tiang khanin society khanin thil in thak kha om ve reng ta chuanin khami in thak mil zel atul dan ang zia zela kan constitution kha man tangkai ani thenan khan kan constitution siam tu te khanin he kan constitution hi thak danglam the dan kha thena dan kha an siam tel bokani okay chuanin they did not see the constitution as sacred static and unalterable law kan constitution kha dan thak the lo dan het lutuk mo thang ti anga khanin an da lo ta thil society in thak danglam zia angzela in thak danglam ve theizel turin an siamani kan constitution kha chuanin chu constitutional amendments and the ani khami constitution in thak danglam kha chuanin institutional design. Like any other constitution, the Indian constitution lays down a procedure for choosing persons to govern the country. It defines who will have much power to take which decisions, and it put limits to what the government can do. Tahianin kan constitution here constitution dang ang thawin Indian constitution po hianin kan ram shwai tu thandan tu tikha adwanga tu inget entinan tu inget chumi thu top mo eng thu top nge asiam thei ti tikha tar langani shwai tu sarkarin ati thei chin thleng khanin asoi loka sarkar na cheltu te khanin sarkar na ansiam awang khanin an emo shrai tu te khanin shrai tu an ni wang ngot khanin an power kha an du dan khanin an exercise thelo ta chumi tura tan tak chon constitution dan khanin shrai tu te ne na khanin an power an ken an select the chinte mo khang te kha arot siam vekani okay khati zong khani a kan chapter 2 chu athuya amar chu chapter poimo em ani ti kha in lo shadon ya okay, that's it for today. Thank you, class.